Hello and welcome. For all you senior executives listening in from the consumer markets sector, the world out there is, well, it's constantly changing. It feels like you're juggling a lot right now, especially with workforce challenges.
Absolutely. It's incredibly complex, and making the right strategic calls is just crucial.
Which is exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We want to zero in on the most vital workforce aspects you should be thinking about right now.
And we're grounding this firmly in the expertise and perspective developed by PwC.
That's right. We're drawing heavily from their Workforce Consumer Markets report, the one by Ali Furman, Anthony Abatiello, and Stacia Wood. So this is PwC's take on what matters.
And their analysis really boils things down to four key trends that are, well, they're converging and shaping everything.
Okay, what are those for?
So first, there's a noticeable decrease in employee morale. Second, a pretty widespread skepticism about AI adoption.
Okay.
Third, we're seeing an increase in employee attrition in the sector. And finally, that continued tension around return-to-office mandates.
Got it. Morale, AI, attrition, and RTO. And PwC sees these as interconnected, yeah.
Very much so. Understanding how they play off each other is, well, it's essential for making proactive decisions, not just reactive ones.
Right. And PwC frames this as a real window of opportunity, doesn't it, for consumer markets companies to kind of get ahead, update those workforce strategies, build some resilience.
Precisely. It's about being prepared and strategic.
Okay, let's dig into the first one then. This dip in employee morale. What's PwC seeing as the main driver there?
Well, a big piece is just the sheer amount of change. The report mentions over half of employees feel there's just too much change happening.
And they don't get why.
That's the kicker. Almost half, 44%, say they don't understand the reasons behind the changes. There really feels a sense of uncertainty, you know?
Yeah, that constant churn without a clear why must be exhausting. And I bet it links to workload, too.
It does. PwC's data shows half of employees feel they're doing more work than a year ago.
Wow, half.
And on top of that, 60% feel underpaid. So it's this combination of feeling stretched thin and, frankly, undervalued.
That paints a tough picture. And it's not just about work, is it? PwC mentions the knock-on effects.
Exactly. Their Employee Financial Wellness Survey links this directly to financial stress, which then impacts sleep, mental health, overall well-being. It affects life outside of work, too.
So the takeaway isn't just offer more free snacks.
Definitely not. Those kinds of perks don't touch the core issues. PwC really pushes for a more strategic approach.
Like using feedback tools.
Yes, precisely. Using feedback tools and analytics to figure out what benefits your specific workforce actually values. It's not just guesswork.
And there's a cost benefit too, right?
A potentially significant one. PwC's workforce radar data suggests companies could save maybe $1,000 to $3,000 per employee annually just by focusing benefit spending on what actually matters to people.
That's a compelling number. Makes the business case right there. PwC had an example, didn't they? A hospitality chain.
They did, yeah. A boutique chain dealing with rising labor costs, immigration policy changes, things like that.
So real-world pressures.
Exactly.
Right.
And instead of just, broad cuts or generic changes, they listened. They invested in things like childcare support, food stipends, really looked at workloads.
And they use tech too, AI.
Yes, but smartly. Chatbots for efficiencies, but to support the human staff, not just replace them. It was about augmenting roles.
And the outcome?
Pretty positive across the board, according to PwC. Better place to work, service standards maintained, guest experience improved, and better actual benefits for staff. It shows that blend can work.
Okay, so for the executives listening, what's the actionable takeaway on morale from PwC's viewpoint?
It's really threefold. First, find out what benefits truly matter to your people. Don't assume.
Use the data.
Use the data. Second, invest in well-being initiatives that tackle those financial stressors head on. And third, find that right balance between automation and the human touch, especially crucial in consumer markets.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's pivot to the second trend, PwC flags. AI skepticism. We know AI adoption is accelerating, but it sounds like the workforce isn't entirely comfortable yet.
That's putting it mildly for some. The PwC report highlights over half of workers are concerned about potential bias in AI.
Bias and also misinformation.
And misinformation, yes.
Right.
As AI gets woven into daily tasks, those concerns become very real, very tangible.
And it goes beyond just how the tech works, doesn't it? It's about jobs, too.
Absolutely. Job security is a major undercurrent. PwC's findings echo other research, like from Pew, showing, just over half of U.S. workers worry about AI's impact, and about a third think it means fewer jobs down the line.
That's a significant level of anxiety.
It is. And PwC notes something fascinating. We might even be shifting career plans. They mentioned that Wall Street Journal piece about Gen Z looking more at trade schools, partly because they see AI potentially disrupting traditional white-collar paths.
Interesting. A potential long-term workforce shift driven by tech expectations. But then you look at the CEOs.
Right, there's a bit of a disconnect, potentially. PwC CEO survey found 56% see Gen AI primarily as an efficiency booster.
So leadership sees productivity, while workers might see replacement or disruption.
That seems to be a key tension. And while PwC certainly acknowledges the efficiency gains, their analysis really stresses that the bigger strategic prize with AI is unlocking innovation, freeing up people for higher value work.
They gave an example here too, right? A large retailer building an AI-powered organization.
Yes, and the key there was that leadership understood it wasn't just tech implementation, it was a full-on workforce transformation. Meaning upskilling, rethinking roles entirely, and really actively managing that change and potential resistance. The goal, as PwC puts it, is for employees to see AI as an ally, not an adversary.
Making AI an ally, and that involves letting people actually use it, this idea of democratizing AI.
Exactly. PwC suggests that letting employees across the board experiment, rather than keeping AI siloed with experts, helps build trust and uncover practical, innovative uses.
But that needs structure, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. PwC is clear. This needs to be built on a solid, transparent AI strategy that's directly tied to business goals.
And that strategy needs to cover multiple dimensions.
Yes, their framework looks at three things: the work itself, how tasks change, the workforce, skills, roles, structure, and the individual workers. Training, acceptance, experience. It's holistic.
Got it. So for executives wrestling with AI skepticism, what are PwC's key recommendations?
Okay, based on their insights. First, communicate transparently about your AI strategy, the why, the how, the impact on people. Address concerns head on.
No sugarcoating.
No sugarcoating. Second, invest heavily in reskilling and upskilling, focusing on how AI augments human skills. Third, involve employees in the design and rollout. Get their input.
Makes sense. Co-creation helps buy-in.
That does. Fourth, establish clear governance and ethical frameworks. Hugely important for trust. And finally, be proactive about restructuring the workforce. Define those new roles. Figure out who does what, human versus AI.
Okay, comprehensive. Let's move to the third trend, rising employee attrition. PwC flags some worrying numbers here for consumer markets.
Yeah, the data they cite from late 2024 is quite stark. Separation rates in hospitality, food service, transport, retail, all higher than the cross-industry average.
Hospitality and food service were particularly high, over 5%.
That's right, alarmingly high. And this turnover isn't just disruptive, it's expensive. PwC references that $2,700 average cost per new hire.
Ouch. That adds up fast in high turnover sectors.
It really does. Plus, you lose institutional knowledge, it hurts team trust, and it just slows down any strategic initiatives you're trying to implement.
Things like personalization or tech upgrades become way harder with the revolving door of staff.
Exactly. So what's the antidote, according to PwC?
Training and development seem key in their analysis.
Very much so. They see it as a powerful retention tool. And it ties back, interestingly, to that Gen Z point. Young people are actively seeking skills development, maybe questioning the ROI of traditional degrees.
And employees considering leaving prioritize skill development, but feel they aren't getting enough.
That's the gap PwC highlights. There's a demand for learning that isn't always being met.
Do they have an example for this one too?
Yes, a high-end department store. They revamped their training to match new customer preferences.
Built on existing programs.
Yes, didn't reinvent the wheel, but expanded expertise in key roles. And crucially, they made upskilling mandatory and baked it into the workday. Bite-sized learning, integrated.
And it worked.
According to PwC, yes. Improved retention, better efficiency, higher productivity. It shows that making learning core, not optional, pays off.
So for leaders wanting to tackle attrition, PwC's advice boils down to:
prioritize learning investments that build critical skills and signal you value your employees' growth.
Yeah.
That's key.
Show them you're investing in them.
Exactly. Weave that upskilling into the daily workflow. Make it accessible. And use technology strategically, not just for tasks, but to actually support employee capabilities and retention.
Makes sense. Okay, fourth and final trend. The return to office tension. still a hot topic.
Very much so, and PwC sees it as a major consideration. They note the rise in formal RTO mandates.
But it's different for corporate versus frontline.
Hugely different. You've got frontline staff who never left, corporate staff who adapted to remote or hybrid, and now potentially 5 generations in the same workforce. It's complex to manage.
So PwC's take isn't just everyone back.
No, they emphasize purpose. If you mandate office time, there needs to be a compelling reason, real collaboration, mentorship, something that adds genuine value you can't get remotely.
And rigid mandates can backfire.
Their analysis, aligning with other research, suggests yes, rigid mandates tend to drive higher attrition, especially among women, senior staff, and skilled workers. Hybrid models often maximize satisfaction.
They actually quoted that finding, didn't they, about rigid mandates increasing attrition?
Yes. Rigid return-to-office mandates drive higher attrition, particularly among women, senior employees, and skilled workers. A stark warning.
And for consumer markets, flexibility means more than just remote work.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm.
PwC broadens the definition. Think customized shifts, shift swapping for frontline staff, hours-based PTO, maybe more location flexibility where possible.
Tailoring flexibility to the role.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all. They even touch on the ripple effect, like that example of the lunch spot near offices adapting as RTO patterns shifted, has wider economic impacts.
Right, the whole ecosystem adjusts. So for executives navigating RTO, what are PwC's key pointers?
Develop purpose-driven policies. Why are people coming in? Make it valuable, create an adaptive ecosystem, blend physical and digital effectively.
Demonstrate the value of being there.
Precisely. Balance business needs with that flexibility needed to retain key talent. And crucially, think creatively about offering meaningful flexibility to frontline workers too, even if it looks different.
Okay, so those are the big 4 trends PwC focuses on. But they mention other broader market factors too.
Yeah, just briefly touching on things leaders need to keep an eye on, like potential impacts from immigration reform talks, or how income tax changes might affect tipped versus non-tipped roles.
And DEI.
And the evolving DEI landscape, yes.
Yeah.
How that influences talent attraction, brand loyalty, all of that is part of the bigger picture.
But the core message running through PwC's analysis seems to be about proactivity, right?
Absolutely. Whether or not we see some huge Great Resignation 2.0, these underlying shifts, morale, AI, attrition, RTO models, they're happening. You need a strategy now.
In companies that get ahead of this.
They gain a competitive edge, according to PwC. Better talent strategies, better retention, attracting top people. Those who just react risk falling behind.
So the call to action is really about adopting that forward-thinking, data-driven approach. It's about building resilience.
Exactly. It's positioning your organization not just to survive, but to lead in this changing consumer market landscape.
Okay, to quickly recap PwC's perspective for the senior executives listening. You need proactive strategies for declining morale, AI skepticism, high attrition, and RTO complexities.
That's the crux of it. These trends are real, they're interconnected, and they demand strategic attention.
And hopefully this deep dive, based on PwC's insights from their report, gives you a solid framework for thinking about these issues in your own context.
So maybe a final thought to leave our listeners with, especially those senior executives. Considering these converging forces, morale, AI, attrition, RTO, and the broader market, what's the single biggest shift your organization needs to make in its workforce strategy in the next, say, 12 months to really ensure sustainable growth and lock in that competitive advantage?
A critical question. We definitely encourage everyone to explore PwC's full insights for more detail to help answer that for their own business. Thank you for tuning in.
This podcast is brought to you by PwC. All rights reserved. PwC refers to the U.S. member firm or one of its subsidiaries or affiliates, and may sometimes refer to the PwC network. Each member firm is a separate legal entity. Please see www.pwc.com/structure for further details. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be used as a substitute for consultation with professional advisors.